Alright, so we are back with the next episode of Ari's Route. We left off in the middle of a conversation here with Ruben. And I believe he was asking us to come down to the, like the public safety department or something. Okay, well, I'll come by this afternoon as planned. It's kind of rude. I'm really sorry, but I actually am busy right now Let's say that, because I don't understand what "it's not that I'm busy" is implying. Actually, I did have some important errands that I needed to get out of the way right now. I was planning to come in for a statement later this afternoon already. Okay, yeah, because, like, we don't want to be rude to him. He didn't do anything wrong. But, you know, yeah. If the case had been handed over to your department, if the case has been handed over to your department, I can come give a statement at whatever location you prefer. But right now is a bit... Of course, I understand. I'll send the details to you right now. I'm sorry to bother you. We have a temporary space we're using while we're in town, so I'd prefer to have you stop by there. I know the incident yesterday must have been harrowing. We would like to catch the culprit as quickly as possible. I understand. I don't wish to hold up your investigation. I'm not sure my statement is going to add much more to what you've already seen on the recordings, but as soon as I'm finished with my morning errands, I'll come by. Alright, thank you, Miss Leone. He held out his hand, and I hesitated for only a brief moment before I shook it. He smiled pleasantly before he waved and headed off. I received the address for his office through the net a few seconds later, and with great reluctance scheduled myself in for a few hours from now. I wasn't terribly thrilled with having been confronted with that as soon as I left my building, but at least he hadn't been pushy. Accepting an afternoon appointment was probably more than I would have gotten from others. Yeah, I think Ruben was really nice. Still, it would have been nice if I had been allowed to get my mind off things just for a little while. But I guess I should make the most of the few hours I had before my appointment. After that, I'd gone to the grocery to get enough food to last a few days so I wouldn't have to leave my flat again for a while. Most of that was set to be delivered later in the day. Okay, so the food's being delivered even though she went physically to the grocery? That's interesting, especially since it's only enough food for a few days. You'd think that she would just carry it home. Also, am I the only one who buys, like, my groceries 1 to 2 weeks at a time so I don't have to go to the grocery store every few days? I had only one little bag left with me when I left. Since my afternoon was booked and I didn't actually know how long the whole statement ordeal was going to take, I decided to stop by for lunch at a nearby cafe that was fairly close to home. They also had a lovely open-air seating area. I'd spent far too many afternoons there studying, so I knew the menu by heart. Okay, and it's called Beautiful. By the way, I love the background so far. Like, everything is so beautiful, and bright and just vivid. I soon found myself seated with a cup of coffee as I waited for a light lunch to be delivered. It was a beautiful day, and I regretted that I hadn't brought a book with me. Of course, I could always hunt one down on the net and read it in my head, but I hated that blank, drooly look people got on their faces when they read that way. That's funny. Instead, I just leaned back in my seat and watched the traffic passing by. Hopefully, after giving a statement, I could put this entire thing behind me and just never think about it again. I didn't even notice the man approaching my table until he slammed into it, toppling the bags of fruit from the grocer. The jolt sent several tangerines rolling across the table towards the edge. Okay, so we can grab your things before they fall on the ground or ask the man if he's okay. And see, this is where I'm a little bit confused because I'm not sure, like, whether our choices influence those core personality traits that we chose in the beginning, you know, or if they are only really important as far as dictating the direction of the plot and the ending that we get. I'm gonna ask if he's okay. I feel like that's sort of like rude. They're like, be more concerned about your things than like the man that, you know, potentially just fell. Are you okay? I jumped up as the man crouched in front of me. For a moment, I thought he'd really hurt himself. Okay, I know this is another one of the guys, but I don't remember his name. He's already giving me like sort of Corbin vibes. He has like the blue eyes and the longish blonde hair. Um, I do remember hearing that he is going to be very polarizing. So I'm interested to get to his story too. But no, he raised his head, smiling at me as he held up one of the fallen tangerines. Let's see how his hair is so long. Oh my gosh. I started to take it from him, pausing slightly as I stared down into his blue eyes. Why does he look so familiar? That's interesting. How strange. I knew we'd never met before. I definitely would have remembered. And yet, I also couldn't shake the feeling I'd seen him somewhere before. That's concerning. I don't mind being stared at by such a lovely lady, but it's a little embarrassing when I'm down on one knee like this. Okay, that's a great way to start the conversation. It feels almost like I'm proposing. He flooded my face as the realization of just how long I'd been, or at the realization of just how long I'd been staring. I snatched the tangerine from him and turned away. It's so, I think MC might have a thing for blondes. Like, I think that might be a thing. Because she, talked about how pretty Ari was, and then she was staring at this guy. Which, like, I mean, they're cute, but all the guys are cute, So I don't think they're any more attractive than all the other ones. So I think MC may just have a type. I snatched the tangerine from him and turned away. I'm sorry. I fumbled all the spilled fruits back into the bag. The man let out an amused laugh and stood up, dusting himself off. I gave him an embarrassed smile. It's just that you remind me a little of someone else. I was trying to. Okay, so that theory time. They have to know each other. I don't know how. Clearly, it's way too early to speculate. But like, she's like, "Oh, he looks familiar," and then he's like, "Oh, you remind me of someone." He leaned close suddenly, placing one of his fingers firmly to my lips. Whoa, sir, back up. Like, we just met. Hearing you say I remind you of another man isn't going to make me happy, I'm afraid. What? Do you see the look on MC's face? Um, sir, I, back up, please. Like, my face instantly heated up again, and I jerked away from him, swatting his hand away. He just chuckled again. Okay, I'm glad she didn't just like sit there. Like in a lot of these otame games or visual novels, like the 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 main character just sort of goes with the flow no matter what's happening. I am so glad she's not like that. I'm glad he finds me amusing. Did I make you angry? What a cute way of blushing you have. Okay, this is flirt number 2. I sputtered indignantly, not even sure how to respond to that. I wasn't blushing. What was with this guy? Oh dear, I haven't even introduced myself, have I? How silly of me to forget. I'm Emir Fitzroy, and I am terribly sorry for my clumsiness. Nice to meet you, I think. Also, that name sounded fake. That's exactly what I was thinking. I wasn't sure why the thought came to me, but it just didn't seem to fit him. Haha. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna have a bit of a difficulty with the laughing, because fake laughing is not my forte. You don't sound so sure about that. I'm not. How cruel. Perhaps I should give you another apology. Let's check out his outfit. His outfit is very interesting. It kind of reminds me a little of Ari's, but different. I truly am sorry for inconveniencing you. Should I get down on one knee again? No, sorry, that's fine. Perhaps you prefer me groveling at your feet. He started lowering himself again, drawing the looks of several nearby people. Wow, I would be so embarrassed if I was MC right now. I grabbed his arm, tugging him back up. I'm not annoyed about that. It's not a big deal to knock one tangerine on the ground. Please just stop. No one is asking you to grovel. He laughed again, clearly amused by my distress. Has anyone ever met someone like this? I totally know this personality type. Like, where. Oh, man. I can already tell, like, his route is going to be a trip. My god, what is wrong with this man? I'm so glad I came today. I didn't expect to meet such an amusing person. Though you also haven't told me your name. You haven't given me the chance, and I'm not here for your amusement. That's right, you tell him, MC. It's Morgan, alright? Happy? Okay, um, they're definitely gonna be the ones with, like, the love-hate relationship. Kind of like Mark from, Changeling. Very. Morgan is a beautiful name, very suited to such a beautiful lady. Thank you. He unexpectedly took my hand and brought my fingertips to his lips, which were turned up on one side, a smirking grin that made me feel like he was definitely teasing me. That's probably because he is. I jerked my hand away, intending to, I didn't know, tell him off or something? But his eyes went far away before I could speak. It was clear he was getting a message or something. Oh, what a shame. His gaze flickered back to my face and he smiled again. As much as I would love to stay and chat with you a little longer, I'm afraid it's already time for me to go. It seems I've been discovered. Discovered? Discovered? What is that? He placed a finger to his own lips this time and winked at me. The smile still pasted on his face, though it felt like the mirth in it had evaporated. I sneaked out of work to meet someone today, and it looks like my colleagues figured out where I am. Okay, so I'm assuming whatever he does, he snuck out to meet us. Because, like, this whole situation just seems way too contrived for this to be, like, a, chance encounter. I mean, I could be wrong, but if I don't hurry back soon, I'm afraid they'll cause quite a fuss about the whole thing. I feel a bit like a princess in a tower with the way they try to keep me all locked up in their working. I couldn't help but wonder just who he was. The way he said that made it seem like he was someone important. But it was hard to imagine him in any sort of important job. Oh, the shade. I hope before you go back, you get to meet up with whoever you wanted to meet. Oh, geez. Sorry, this was Morgan. I hope before you go back, you get to meet up with whoever you wanted to meet. I already met her. Okay, yeah, see, that's what I thought. He started away from the table quickly, glancing back just once. I'll see you later, Morgan. I have a feeling we'll see each other again. I didn't even get a chance to respond to him. He walked away so quickly. Within seconds, I lost sight of him in the crowd. I just stood there staring after him in confusion. What the heck was that about? I flopped back into my seat again, completely baffled by that entire interaction. Yeah, I can tell, like, whatever his real name is, he's gonna be a handful. This really was my week for meeting weird men, wasn't it? It wasn't long after that when my lunch arrived. I ate quickly, mentally going over what I intended to tell them when I stopped in to give my statement later on, and trying to forget my encounter with the odd blonde man. Okay, so let's pause for a second. I want to check her relationships. Oh wow, okay, yeah. So she's already made some progress with Ari. And then the second strongest relationship she has is Caleb, who we haven't even met, ironically. And then we've met Ruben. I think that's it on this route. I mean, we met Jack on the prior route, but on the prior playthrough, but then we restarted. So we will see. I'm bracing myself already because that interaction was yeah, it's gonna be an interesting playthrough. I just hope this statement doesn't take too long. I quickly finished up my lunch and decided to head home to drop off my bag, then work my way the towards to address Mr. Kellner and oh, and another typo. Then work my way towards the address Mr. Kellner had given me. I was so focused on getting back that I wasn't paying much attention to my surroundings after that. Looking back, that was definitely my first mistake. I had just exited a pedestrian only area and was passing a sleek blue car parked near the footpath when it happened. Out of the corner of my eye, there was a strange flash, and for a split second, everything went silent. I quickly turned, but there was nothing there. Sound floated back into the world, and everything was normal? I stood still for a long moment, just looking around, as if that would help me work out what had happened. Something's wrong. It was as if there had just been a glitch in reality, but no one else had seemed to notice. Okay, giving me total Matrix vibes. I'm a huge Matrix fangirl, so what the heck was that? I didn't get a chance to finish the thought. From behind me, someone grabbed me by the shoulders, causing me to drop everything in my hands. And without warning, I was being pushed towards the blue car I had passed only seconds earlier. What? No, help! I twisted wildly to see who was there, but they kept me facing forward as they shoved me along. No, I was not allowing this. I planted both feet firmly on the footpath, pushing back against them as I let out a painful shriek. The surrounding people continued to walk past without even looking our way. Okay, so it sounds like she's in some sort of time space paradox, like not in the same reality as everyone around her. What? How can they just ignore this? Um okay, so we can fight against our attacker, we can flee our attacker and find help, or play along for now. I think fleeing our attacker to find help would probably be the smartest decision. Because what are we gonna do if we just fight him one on one, right? Like she does sometimes she's able to like break windows and fountains when she gets really emotional, but that isn't a whole lot of help in this situation. Um like she can't control her Esper abilities at this point. But at the same time, we are not just gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna totally be cool with you kidnapping me, and like, why would we play along? At this point when we can still actively try to prevent it. Okay, I'm gonna save here though, just in case, just in case I end up getting us killed. Okay, because I don't know what type of game this is yet, right? There are some games where like it's very very easy to die. Like I don't know if any of you guys have played Royal Alchemist. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I died in that game. So we are going to utilize the save button. I twisted my arm away from him at the same time I stomped down on his foot hard, trying desperately to remember what my brother had taught me. Oh, she has a brother? My attacker loosened his grip for a split second, long enough for me to wrench myself away from him. Scrambling down the footpath in a panic, my only thought was of getting away. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew I wasn't going with them. If no one else would help me, I would just have to get away on my own. Damn it! Cranky kidnapper! I veered left into a nearby alley, trying to just get out of sight and maybe onto another street where I wouldn't be ignored. But I didn't get much further. There were footsteps behind me, and seconds later someone caught my arm and pinned me to a nearby wall in one swift movement. Ari! Hello! Caleb, there's no need to be rough with her. Another figure appeared at the opening to the alley, a familiar figure. You traitor! That guy from yesterday? What was going on? I wasn't rough, and I stopped her from running the hell away. Okay, that must be that cranky kidnapper. Just gonna take a wild guess. She's frightened. The dark-haired man, Caleb, pulled me away from the wall, keeping a tight grip on my arm as he pushed me back towards the footpath. Okay, you can back it up a little, buddy. Like, you're mad at us for not allowing ourselves to get To be kidnapped? Seriously? Sorry we don't have the ability to sit down to a little coffee while we explain to assuage her fears. This sarcastic, we're under orders and we're not the only ones after her. Wait, what? Ari looked at me with what seemed like a hint of sympathy. I apologize, but you were going to have to come with us. I stumbled after Caleb as he directed me to the nearby car. I wasn't a terribly willing participant in this little situation, but Caleb was far stronger than I was. Ari climbed into the front seat while Caleb forced me into the back and got in behind me, slamming the door shut. Well, they have a nice car. Go. Oh, okay. Those are some loud sound effects. I pressed back into the seat as Ari slammed his foot on the accelerator. Now alone with the two of them, I let out a shaky breath. Now tell me what's going on. What do you two want with me? Neither answered. As expected, we are being tailed. Sorry. I don't know why I had so much trouble with that little sentence. Tailed by who? Why? Caleb shot me an exasperated look, but ignored my questions as he leaned over into the front seat. How many? Ari checked a console next to him, frowning. At least 3 others are closing in on our direction. 3 other what? Now that I had calmed down, I realized I should call for help. It was amazing how adrenaline could completely erode one's ability to think logically. Don't feel bad, MC. I didn't even think about that either. I mean, they were literally manhandling you, so I think we can afford you some grace. Keeping an eye on the two of them, I tried to connect with the safety department through the net. Wait, what? I couldn't connect. That was impossible. Ari made a wild turn, sending me headlong into the door. I only just managed to avoid slamming my head into the window. There was a flash of worry across Caleb's face as he pulled me back away from the door. Okay, do we not have seatbelts in this world? Time for the contingency plan. Vaughn said she had an area cleared near here. Get us there. I am trying to do so. I glanced behind us, realizing there was another car that appeared to be following us, just like they'd said. How did I get myself in the middle of some high-speed car chase? This was insane. Change of plans. Get us out of here now, Ari. You realize if I just teleport us out, they'll see the distortion trail. Teleport? Espers? Then we have to get them off our tails first. I don't believe that's going to be possible. Then we need a way to mask the trail so they can't track us. Ari made another sharp turn, this time sending me face first in at Caleb. This is great. We're being manhandled. We're being thrown into It's such a fun time. He wrapped an arm around me as he braced himself against the front seat so we wouldn't slide around as much. I struggled against him, but his grip was too tight to get away. Well, hold on. Wait, sorry. That's not Morgan. Hold on. I have an idea. Let go of me. I gave Caleb a shove, but it was like shoving a wall. He didn't even look my way. I feel so bad for MC. Instead, still holding me tightly, he moved us both aside as Ari apparently set the car to auto and climbed into the back seat with us. Okay, that's absolutely terrifying. The car abruptly slammed into high gear. I could hear the high-pitched whine of the power coil as we sped up. Crushed into Caleb's chest as I was, I only caught a glimpse of what was outside the window screen. The windscreen. We were on a long street with an intersection ahead, and across a building we were heading towards full speed. This does not sound good. What are you... Hold on. Wait, were they about to drive into that building at full speed? My head filled with the sounds of the power coil trying to overload. I clapped both hands to my ears and screamed. There was a flash of light, and then everything stretched and twisted. I couldn't see anything or hear anything. It felt like my body was being ripped apart. My scream thinned into nothing. And then we were tumbling onto the stone floor like we'd been spit out of thin air. I staggered forward, free from Caleb, but running wasn't an option. My entire field of vision was spinning. This is so beautiful, though. Let's take a. Doesn't I mean this looks gorgeous. I pressed the back of my hand to my mouth, trying to swallow down the taste of bile and will my stomach to untie itself. That that felt like a space fold, a wormhole or something. There was no technology I knew of to create any sort of micro wormhole. Caleb and Ari seemed unfazed by what had just happened, as if they'd done it 1,000 times before. They were speaking, but their words were like an uncomfortable buzz in my head. I couldn't make out what they were saying. My stomach finally gave out and I gagged onto the floor, clutching my abdomen as it tied itself in painful knots. Everything tilted and I hit the ground, barely managing to catch myself. Oh! I was still choking on the taste of acid and whatever was left in my stomach. That finally got attention. There were footsteps, and someone was crouching next to me. His hand passed gently over my back. A surprisingly gentle gesture for a damn kidnapper. Okay, so this is how the visual novel started. Because I remember that line. And now we know that she was referring to Mr. Vaughn here. It's alright. Try to take deep breaths. Instinct told me to scramble away, but my body wasn't exactly in prime scrambling condition. I stayed in place, squinting at the ground and wishing he'd go away. The first jump can be a little disorienting. It'll pass soon. Disorienting was an understatement. I just ignored him and tried to figure out what to do next. I just need to get a hold of myself. How had all this happened? And more importantly, what did these two men want with me? I was hardly a prime kidnapping target. I leaned over to rest my forehead against the cold ground, trying to take slow, deep breaths. The soft trickle of water echoed to me from somewhere in the building, but it was otherwise quiet. Where were we? How far had we traveled during that jump, as he called it? Rubble littered the floor, chunks of mortar, bits of twisted metal, pebbles, dust, and broken glass. There was also a strange smell, like wet soil and rot. Chunks of mortar. It sounds like they're in some sort of abandoned factory or something. From what I could see, it looked like a damaged vivarium or hydroponic center. There were some broken containers scattered around and a few stray piles of dark soil, like the sort my father used to work. I wonder, did they mention what MC's mother and father did for a living? Vivariums. These centers and complexes are multifunctional units that exist across the planet. They were originally designated hubs that interconnected with each dome's life support system. Because the domes utilize bioregenerative life support that relies on an expansive and functional ecosystem within each dome, these vivariums were designed to facilitate those systems. On the day side, each sector usually has its own vivarium complex that works with others in the dome to ensure as much energy efficiency as possible and to help maintain the delicate balance of each BLSS. On the night side, many vivarium complexes remain non-functional, and the bioregenerative aspects of dome life support is less relied upon, making their energy needs higher than the norm on the day side. Okay. Hang on, let me just check how we're doing on time real quick here. Okay. We have time for maybe like a couple more minutes. Cause my throat is about to give out here. Tendrils of vines sneaked through the wreckage, as well as some tenacious plants that had taken over after the place was damaged. None of it was useful for escaping, but it gave me an idea where we could be. There had been a sector of Cecilus hit by a terrorist group last year. How many terrorist groups does Cecilus have? Jesus. It had been a shock to everyone to have an attack so deep into New Albion. Repairs had stalled due to some kind of bureaucratic nonsense. Much of it was still damaged, and the entire sector was off limits. Aside from a few security guards and municipal officers at the entrances, it was also supposed to be empty. I wasn't an expert on espers, but I knew from Trent the ex-boyfriend, interesting, that most knights could only teleport short distances. Line of sight, maybe a few kilometers if they'd been to the location before. Knight rank. Knight ranked espers usually score somewhere between 8 to 12 on the EA scale. Their abilities are usually oriented around teleportation of varying types, psi shields of varying strength, very strong clairvoyance, and telekinesis. There is a wide range of variation in how teleportation skills manifest. Some knights require line of sight or can only teleport to places they've been. Some have a relatively small radius in which they can travel, while others require a medium of some sort to travel through. Generally, the further the distance and the more complicated the travel, the stronger clairvoyance that is required to do so safely. Okay. So from what I can tell, Ari is the one that teleported us here. So, and I'm gonna end the episode here, but I just want to say, a couple things real quick. I think it's interesting that Trank keeps popping back up. I have a feeling he's going to play some sort of role in the plot. At least in a couple people's routes, the further that we get. Because, like I said, I just have bad. The whole situation just strikes me as really odd. That, like, as far as his career goes, he wanted to study espers, and she just happens to be an esper, and then like she doesn't hear from him for a year, and then all of a sudden, right before all of this happens, she gets a letter from him. That it just seems a little too coincidental. So I have a feeling Trent's gonna pop back up. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and leave it here. We are finally getting a little further along, and we know whose route we're doing first. We're doing Ari's. Like I said, I think it's gonna be really funny. Like the interactions between Ari and MC are so. I don't know why I keep calling her MC. Ari and Morgan are so awkward so far. Um, mainly because like she's just continually trying to flirt with him, and he's like not responding at all. But I can totally support that. As long as eventually they make some progress. So I think it's cute. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. I'm gonna end it here, and I will hopefully have the next one up shortly.